There we go. Now it's working. So we're going to get started with the plant forum, which is the first time the Southern California Horticulture Society has done a plant forum virtually. I'm going to invite John Shustra, our president, to share his presentation about some plants that he has at his home. So I'm going to invite him to become a panelist. Let's see. All right, give it just one moment. I hope everyone is enjoying the SoCal Hort announcements that we have going on before the meeting. Again, if you are a member, you can always share an announcement that you have, whether it be a volunteer opportunity, just an event happening in your community, or just any announcement that you want to make. You can go ahead and do that. You can also submit plants to the plant forum if you are a SoCal Hort member as well. And yeah, we have John joining us right now. And when everything starts to be okay for us to start having our group events, we're going to start having more coffee in the garden events, those fantastic field trips that we've planned before in the past. So any of that information, if you're curious about it, everything is on our website, and you can search any of our events and you'll be able to see photos from them and kind of get more background on them too. And then of course you can always email us and we'll always provide you with more information. Okay. John, do we have you on there?
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I cannot see you.
Okay, start my video. Sorry. Okay, this is the first time
No problem.
here. All right. Here we go.
All right, welcome, John.
All right, nice to see everybody. But nice to have you out there. Let's get started, and I'll share a little bit about one plant. And let's see, we can't kind of chat and ask questions, but if you see questions, just relay them to me. All right, Aaron. Let's see, share, and we'll...
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen.
All right, here we go. That's just to make sure we're in the right place. So, yeah, some of you may know that I have big interest in this plant. I wasn't sure that the sound would work, so I added a few captions. This plant was brought to America mostly by Dr. Howard Gentry's book on agaves, and it's somewhat related to agaves. He was researching possible arid crops for Southern California. This plant, being quite poisonous, would have interesting chemical compounds in it. So they found in Africa some of the most poisonous bulbs they could find. They were looking for the most toxic. But we're looking for good plants for our gardens. And as you can see here, this is a pretty dry part of my garden. You see the St. Catherine's lace in the background, the Vitex, lavender, Toyon behind. And really, this might get water once a month in the summer, but where Dr. Gentry's experimental farm was in Murrieta, they're still growing 40 years later on only the rainfall that Murrieta gets, which is sometimes as little as 10 inches a year. So I just have a couple of slides, and that's why I'll talk quite a bit in each slide. How about this way? You can really see the agave family resemblance on the left in the winter. So up in about October or after rains or your own irrigation, you'll see these beautiful leaves come up, and they'll keep going whether you water them or not until about the first week of June. And then with the day length reaching almost its peak, they'll start to go dormant. Notice on the left, the Vitex tree, deciduous, middle of winter. And
Hey,
I'm hearing,
John.
yes, we're not seeing the PowerPoint.
Right, we don't see the PowerPoint. So if you can share your screen.
Yes, and I did share it. So let me escape here. And how did that happen? All right, this is why we make the board members try out all these new great ideas that we. All right, so I'm back in Zoom. That's post attendees. Over here. Okay, so you're only seeing me. That's good. All right, so share again.
All right.
So is that,
So now we see your screen. Now all that's missing is the PowerPoint.
okay, and you're seeing that now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. And how many people do we have waiting for me? Do I go back to the beginning? Not quite. All right, so there we are. You can, Erin, can you see?
Yes, I see your screen
Okay.
perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So again, the St. Catherine's lace, our own native Eriogonum, Toyon in the background, the Vitex to the right, lavender in the foreground. You get the idea. Mediterranean adapted plants, and really on less than one watering per year. Sorry, per month in the summer. Okay, here on the left, you can see the view beyond in our garden because the Vitex is out of leaf, and this beautiful agave-like foliage in the foreground, which persists until June. And then on the right, about middle of July, of course, lavender's in bloom, the Vitex is in full foliage and in full bloom, and you can see the Eriogonum in the background. I think the way that the foliage goes deciduous is pretty cool looking, and so I leave it, and that's what you're seeing. One of the interesting things about this plant for people in fire hazard areas, first is it's a great plant for areas where you can't irrigate, but second, it's got such aggressive roots and dense foliage that not many weeds come up around it. And as it goes deciduous in June, if you have to do fire clearing, it's pretty easy. The plant's not there. You can just go through with a weed eater and get rid of anything that needs to be gotten rid of. You know, when they're in bloom, it's just like the naked lady. There's no root activity at all. So in this case, I thought, well, I'll have some fun. This is a cheese mold. And I just put rocks in there to wedge the bulbs together so that as the bloom grew up, the wind or even just the weight of the blooms would over. It is a really great cut flower. The kind of weird thing about it is, though, you might get a 3-foot cut stem and put it in the house, and 3 days later, it might be 4.5 feet. It has a lot of growth in all those dense blooms that haven't opened yet that you see here along the tips. And I think I just have maybe one more image. Another great thing about it is this time of year, there's not that much for bees and other pollinators to consume. So it's terrific to have August blooms, pollen, and nectar. And you can see from this image, the image on the right, I'm about 3 inches from that plant with my cell phone. And the bees are just so kind of drunk and full of pollen. As you can see, their pollen sacs that they don't even look up to see what I'm up to. Again, it's a poisonous plant, but it's about As a matter of fact, they used to make an organic rat poison out of it because rats and other rodents cannot vomit. So if they eat it, they'll die. But if a coyote or your cat or your dog eats a poisoned rat, they won't keep it down and they won't be harmed by the poison. So that's pretty cool. And of course, if it's in the garden, you're not going to have deer or squirrels or anything else eating the plant. And again, this is kind of an experiment for all of us. So in a regular plant forum, we would have a little card with the plants with some of the information. And I've put that here on the left. And let's get some feedback and see how we can do this even better next meeting. So on the right, that's the Dremia in the rain in the middle of winter. And on the left, a really happy bee. So thanks for listening, and I will stop sharing.